Hello everybody, Exalted Hierarch here, and today we're going to be talking about dodging missiles in the jet and specific vehicle counters with the jet. So first things first, take off, put yourself in third person zoomed all the way out, and put those landing gears in. We're going to learn two methods of dodging. Method number one is flying in a circle while using a left bumper, right bumper, or L1 and R1 on PlayStation to wiggle the tail of the craft. You also want to gain altitude while you do this. I'll explain that in a moment. Method number two, you still want to wiggle the back of the craft with your left bumper and right bumper, but you're going to do a half circle and then switch directions with a roll to another half circle. This allows you to travel away from things that are firing lock-on missiles at you. As you can see in the footage here, I fly very close to an Oppressor Mark II, and without these methods this missile would have surely hit me. But I use method number one to wiggle the back of the craft, dodge, and climb. Climbing makes it so that it's harder for him to continue firing missiles at me. This gives me a little bit of reprieve with the constant barrage of missiles. As you can see here, if you just fly in a circle, it makes it real easy for the Oppressor Mark II pilot to hit you with a non-lock-on missile. As you can see in the footage here, dodging technique number one is really your bread and butter for dodging missiles. You don't have to climb up towards the sky, as in this case I'm fighting a Chernobog and I'm pretty much already out of his range, but climbing does reduce the efficiency of the technique. So if you're up against missiles like the Ruiner missiles or Chernobog missiles, you might not want to climb, you might just want to dodge to save your life. In this case, I'm flying away from a helicopter, and dodging technique number two is allowing me to keep moving in the direction I want to go without having to deal with the harassment of these missiles. Now we'll combine both of these dodging techniques, such as here, to accomplish a variety of different things and prevail in combat situations that might otherwise be overwhelming, where you might otherwise be stuck in dodging technique number one, doing the same maneuver over and over again. In this case, I have used number one and number two to effectively close distance, dodge missiles, and then strike from above on the Chernobog, causing instant destruction. I'll use the same technique here to free myself from the path of a Mark II missile, take a shot at another jet, and then get right back to dodging the missiles. These two techniques when used together are almost unstoppable. The next thing we have to talk about is how to dodge or avoid missiles fired at you from people on foot using the homing launcher. These aren't inherently dangerous, and they probably won't even kill you in one hit, but they are enough to knock you out of the sky, and if you're not paying attention you can easily be wiped out by these things. What I like to do is fly level with the ground, and then once they've fired the missile, I dip down for the attack. Even if the missile does come back around, they're very easy to dodge, and by the time it gets to you, they're probably already dead from your strafe. One thing to keep in mind though, is that missiles fired from the homing launcher on foot have a tendency to disappear and reappear right when they explode against your craft. This can be insanely annoying. As you see in the footage here, that missile was not visible until it blew up behind me, so always fly evasively when you know one of those is on you. Next, we're going to talk about specific vehicle counters and things that you could do to beat different types of vehicles you'll encounter in free mode. For Deluxos, you're going to want to approach the enemy vehicle from straight up or straight down, as they can't look up or down. By using this method, we could easily defeat any Deluxo we come across, and the only reason I put it in this video is because a lot of players seem to think that Deluxos are a viable counter to the jet, when in fact they're kinda trash and not a viable counter to anything in the game. That's right, Deluxos are trash. Sorry to hurt your feelings. One thing that the jet is really good at is taking out Oppressor Mark IIs. While this may not seem obvious at first, if you follow this technique, you'll find it easy as cake. All you've got to do is bait them to follow you up into the sky, and get underneath them. They won't be able to look down to hit you, and they'll be an easy target against the backdrop of the blue sky and clouds. It's insanely satisfying to take a Mark II up in the sky and blow it up with your cannons. It catches them off guard, and it usually makes people give up pretty quickly once they realize that you can destroy them. This is a technique that can be applied to all sorts of vehicles in GTA. Deluxos, Oppressors, even helicopters have the limitation of not being able to look up or down, so if you approach these vehicles from above or below, they're mostly helpless. Another inherent weakness of helicopters is the tail rotor. A single shot from the weak cannon of the B-11 is enough to drop a helicopter spinning towards the ground for a certain kill. You won't get the kill for it, but it is a hilarious way to beat helicopter pilots. Next we'll talk about tanks. This should be fairly straightforward, but tanks are very easy to kill with the jet. A Rhino tank will die in one strafe, and a Kinjali tank will usually die in two strafes. All you've got to do to accomplish this is come at them from straight above. That'll bring me to my next point of attacking armored ground targets. It's real easy for a pilot to try to get carried away and place too many rounds on target in a single strafe, hastening a kill. What you've got to do is remain patient, otherwise you can easily crash your jet into the ground next to them, and now you've got an armored vehicle spawn camping you. Nobody wants that. By far the most difficult target for the Lazer to kill on the ground is the Ruiner 2000. That's because it has a lot of health and it can fire missiles back at you, but only when the fully loaded mission is happening. Otherwise it's a one-hit kill. Here I attack an RC tank inside the military base, and you won't often have opportunities to kill RCs so easily, but in this case the guy was an idiot and drove it out in the open. So anytime you see an RC, go ahead and blast it, but don't count on being able to find it. Now, for my favorite counter in the whole video, motorcycles. All you've got to do to a motorcyclist is come on down and splatter him. They love it. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Jets episode 4 will be coming in a matter of no time, and I do plan to start uploading regularly, so stay tuned. And again, thank you for watching.